Good morning, everyone. My name is Yo Chi Hen, and I will be your moderator for this glorious morning. Our topic of discussion for today is genetic engineering application in renewable energy. To further discuss this topic, we have invited several panels together here. First, Professor Nur Ashika from University Technology Malaysia. Madam Nur Ashita, Manager of Restaurant Sedap. Dr. Dennis Mirza, biologist from the Ministry of Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change. Dr. Wu Jieheng, biotechnologist from Biocon. And last but not least, Dr. Arvind Vishwam, professional researcher in genetic engineering from University Malaya. Nowadays, genetic engineering plays an important role in many aspects such as medical purposes, but I believe most of us do not realize that this technology can be applied in renewable energy. Without further ado, let's listen to Professor Nur Ashika to explain more about genetic engineering and renewable energy. The time is yours, Professor.
Okay, thank you to our moderator. Energy is necessary for life, and it also drives the growth of industry and the world economy. Due to the exhaustion of finite resources and the build in environment, using fossil fuels as a source is not sustainable. The promotion of research on sustainable and ecological front is the result of environmental concerns and depletion of our reserves. Due to its chemical composition and energy content being identical to steel, but perhaps garnered the most attention of all the biofuels. Biodiesel is typically produced from triacylglyceride through transesterification with alcohol. Startup biotechnology firms and research institutions are currently key to microbial fermentation based on biodiesel production, with the goal of establishing practicable and productions of sustainable biodiesel systems. The conversion of microorganisms to necessary cell factories with high biodiesel production relies heavily on engineering. Genetic engineering or genetic modification is also based technologies to alter the DNA makeup of organisms. Current cell manufacturing or transesterification frequently use and disgrace microorganisms to supply fatty acid sources. Example, plant biomass can be used to transform bacteria into cellular lipids, which can then be turned into the biodiesel. Alcohol sources will be provided by ethanol manufacturers, and the substrate used in the process create the equivalent fatty acid ester is alcohol. This is the most microbe for the generations of ethanol, and Saccharomyces cerevisiae is the most really for is Zymomonas mybolates. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I think all of us now have more understanding about the topic of discussion today. I heard that Madam Nashita is facing some problems in her restaurant, so she's here now with us. Let's find out the issues with Madam Nashita.
Thank you, moderator Mr. Yo. As we all aware that renewable energy can be related to various fields of industry, and food industry is one of the prominent fields that get attention from researchers to produce renewable energy by using food waste as a source of energy production. In restaurants, the use of cooking oil is frequent, and the oil waste from cooking accumulates every day. I have been curious about what benefits or harm of oil waste from restaurants can have on humans. Therefore, I did my own research by reading articles and journals through the internet. What I found was very interesting knowledge and information about what can be done with oil waste from restaurants. The oil waste have been utilized to be used as a source of fatty acid for the fatty acid ester based biodiesel production, as it rich in free fatty acid. This shows that the oil waste consists of molecules that can be used as raw materials for the biodiesel production. Besides oil waste, there are lots of food waste from the restaurants. As manager and employee of restaurants, I always supervise and remind the other employees who manage the food waste to discard them in the right bins. Some of the food waste can be composed, for example, like fruits and vegetables, but there are also food waste that cannot be composed, such as meat, fats, and dairy products. The food waste which cannot be composed are disposed into landfill, but there are also restaurants that dispose of their food waste into drains or river. This kind of food waste disposal method pollutes the environment. When food waste are left to rot in the landfill, it will release methane, which is known as a powerful greenhouse gas that is 25 times stronger and harmful than carbon dioxide. Other than that, water pollution also occurs as the food waste from the landfill are polluting underground water, and the food waste were thrown into the water stream like river will harm marine life. Therefore, I wonder if it's possible that food waste other than oil waste can be recycled as a renewable energy source to reduce any pollution to the environment. So I'm here to seek help and hear as well opinion regarding how food waste can be used as a renewable energy source in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Nashita. Now we know what the problem is. Don't worry. I believe the experts here can provide more information and pragmatic solutions for you. Next, I would like to invite the biologist, Dr. Dennis Mirza, to state some solution from the government.
Thank you, Moderator Mr. Yo. The solution to this problem is we can convert the biomass, such as use vegetable oil or abundantly lignocellulosic biomass to produce biodiesel, which is a form of renewable energy. So biodiesel is mainly obtained by the transesterification of fat and vegetable oils in the presence of a catalyst by an alcohol leading to fatty acid methyl ester, FAMEs, or fatty acid ethyl ester, FAEs, which means we need to produce the two main substrate for biodiesel transesterification, which are the fatty acids and alcohols such as ethanol. To realize this process, microorganisms must be developed to have the ability to produce fatty acids and short-chain alcohols available for transesterification. For fatty acid, the common source is vegetable oil, but we also can engineer microbes to mass-produce fatty acids. Microbes with grease strains can supply fatty acid source for transesterification. These microorganisms coming from a rich microorganism resource can utilize or convert various agro-industrial materials such as plant biomass to cellular lipids. The fatty acids composition of the lipid extracted from grease microbes is generally similar to vegetable oils, which can be converted into biodiesel. So the key characteristics for the grease microbes is first, more than 50% of lipids should be accumulated in the cells. Second, the strains can be used in industrialization culture with simple apparatus. And the third key characteristics is it should have fast growth speed and anti-pollution ability. And the last one is the oil must be easy to be extracted. So example of microbes that we can use with grease strains that capable of oil accumulation are microalgae species, which is the Chlorella vulgaris. Now that we have one main substrate, we can now move to the other substrate, which is the alcohol. So the commonly used alcohol to catalyze the transesterification of fatty acids is ethanol. So one species of yeast, which is the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, are being widely used as the producer of ethanol through alcohol fermentation. So yeast can utilize and convert abundantly available biomass such as lignocellulosic biomass to produce fermentable sugars and further producing ethanol. So now we have both products from both microbes, which is the fatty acids, and the alcohol, which is ethanol, and can use to fuel the transesterification process to produce biodiesel, which is a form of renewable energy. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Denish, for sharing these amazing solutions. Since the solution is converting the oil waste into biodiesel using genetic engineering, I think it is necessary to seek professional opinions from experts in genetic engineering. We are glad to invite a professional biotechnologist from Biocon, Dr. Wu Jieheng. Dr. Wu has been involved in this sector for almost 10 years. Let's invite him to tell us more about the technique on producing biodiesel using oil waste as raw material.
Thank you to our moderator. Our company and research center have undergone many investigations in order to establish a more efficient, less cost, and sustainable biodiesel production strategy. And now, we have found out that genetic engineering plays an important role in the transformation of microbes into the desired star factories with high efficiency of biodiesel production that we are looking for. Actually, biodiesel is mainly obtained by the transesterification of fat by an alcohol process, leading to the formation of fatty ester. Of course, first we need both the alcohol producer and fatty acid producer. The most commonly used microbe for alcohol production is Saccharomyces. Saccharomyces can be used to degrade lignocellulosic biomass and directly convert cellulose to ethanol by inserting the cellulase gene from cellulosic organisms. And the restaurant oil waste from Medanaceta's restaurant would act as a fatty acid producer. This oil waste can be utilized to supply the triglyceride sources, and this triglyceride can react with ethanol to form fatty ester and glycerol through the process of transesterification. And this reaction typically takes place at between 40 to 65 degrees Celsius. As the reaction temperature goes higher, the rate of reaction will increase also. The glycerol form has to be separated from the biodiesel, and therefore, water is added to remove the unwanted byproduct, particularly glycerol that may remain in the biodiesel. After that, the washed water is then separated out, similarly to the solvent extraction that contains also some of the glycerol, and the trace water is evaporated out of the biodiesel. And finally, we can get our product, biodiesel now. Unlike petroleum diesel, biodiesel is biodegradable and non-toxic. It significantly reduces oxygen and other emissions when burned as a fuel. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Oh, I see. Biodiesel can be produced by using alcohol and fat. That was definitely helpful knowledge for us. Thank you so much, Dr. Wu. I think most of us are wondering, are there any suggestions on this issue? Next, allow me to invite Dr. Arvind Visham, an experienced researcher in genetic engineering. I believe Dr. Arvind can answer our question. The time is yours, Doctor.
Alright, so thank you to our moderator, Mr. Yo. So now, the method that was stated by Dr. Wu would require the need for a fatty acid source, as well as a short-chain alcohol in order for the transesterification process to occur. So now this process would typically require a lipase to break down this said fatty acid, but there's also another way for us to generate renewable energy that is somewhat similar to the aforementioned method stated by Dr. Wu. So this method that I'm talking about is intracellular transesterification. So there's been many efforts to construct a system for microbial biodiesel production, but an enzyme called acetyltransferase, which is a class of enzyme that is responsible for wax enzyme as well as tight biosynthesis, has shown promising results and also potential to be used as an alternative for lipase-based acylation. So these reactions are generally performed in aqueous systems where the enzymes are acting with CoA-activated fatty acids. And this acetyltransferase depends on CoA esters, which would mean that the acetyltransferase catalyzed acylation is the native reaction under physiological conditions. So this means that it could only be performed in vivo. However, this could lead to the possibility of the development of process that could utilize bulk materials such as sugars or better starch, cellulose and hemicellulose as substrates, which are not dependent on oilseed crops. So this will not only simultaneously broaden the range of substrate that could be used for biofuel production, but it could also reduce the need for non-renewable resources like fossil fuels or whatsoever, and could also remove the need for resources that will lead to competition with food or feed production. So now, there's also a bacteria that was found to have this acetyltransferase enzyme. It is a bifunctional enzyme that could function both as wax ester acetyltransferase or WS, as well as acyl-CoA diacylglycerol acetyltransferase or DGAT. So now the finding of this bacteria, this could prove to be very useful as it basically provides every single requirement needed for this acetyltransferase to produce biofuel. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arvind. That was an amazing suggestion from him. Throughout this forum session, I think everyone has gained important information, especially on the relationship between genetic engineering and renewable energy. I believe that the problem in restaurant sedap can be solved as well. That's all for today. Thank you for your attention.